Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Super Subs Podcast. It's your host, Harisha Narv. Um, Off the bat, just want to apologize for last episode's technical errors. My mic was coming out pretty poor. I was trying out some new tech, and obviously that failed. But getting that fixed. Hopefully, this sounds much better. But yeah, we had a slate of some Champions League games. Um, and then we have, Europa League games. Manchester plays tomorrow. Um, and then the big one, Chelsea as well. And we have been dominating that league, that competition so far.
You
Looking pretty
guys, you
insane.
guys should be winning that tournament with a breeze. Be
I
kind
mean,
of
at
sad
the
if y'all don't win.
professional level, nothing's given. So
Nah, if y'all don't
n
win Conference League.
nothing's given. But it'd be amazing to come out with a European trophy at the end of the season. Not many teams can say that. Um, but let's hop into it. We'll
Sorry,
cover,
sorry. Real quick before we hop into it. Um, did you see the news after our United versus Forest game? Um, Firing of Dan Ashworth,
yeah. Um, I'm a little confused by like the structure of what are y'all called? Like
the board,
Enos,
or oh, Ineos.
Ineos, or Asnos. Um, I don't really know how that structure is, but yeah, it's David Ashworth was gone after what,
5 months.
half a year or something. Yeah, 5 months. What are your thoughts on that? Because I don't know like exactly what his role is, and
So he's more of like in the recruitment. He was our sporting director. And he was really well known for like obviously his days at Brighton and Newcastle with the recruitment. Um, but Jim Ratcliffe kind of spoke out, and there were reports that the biggest reason of his sacking was um, that Dan Ashworth was the main reason Ten Hag got the extended contract deal. Um, And then another reasoning was that this one wasn't the reason, but there were reports that Dan Ashworth was a huge advocate of um, Gareth Southgate and really wanted him at United to get that
oh
job.
wow, this man
And
sounds like a double agent.
yeah, and then apparently he wasn't a fan of Amarin. He didn't want Amarin at United. Um,
Oh wow.
and so obviously also with our recruiting, it wasn't really up to par. It's just it. I like how Ineos is a bit more decisive, like in terms of sacking people and getting people like the way we hired Amarin. Like before, it would take forever, but now is quite instant. But it was just kind of annoying because we paid like a whole gardening fee to Newcastle to get Dan Ashworth. I think it was like 4 or 5 million just to get him in here, and then terminated him, gave him a severance. So kind of wasting money too at the same time.
Hmm. So Ionos or Ionos,
Mhm.
that's the name of the United board, basically.
Yeah. I think
Why do y'all have a name for
that's
the
like the
board?
company that Jim Ratcliffe owns.
Okay. Interesting. Yeah, I'm a little confused by that, but this is the same dude that sold Victor Gyokeres from Brighton for like a mil.
Hmm. Yeah, I think he
Wow.
was at Brighton during that time.
But I mean, on the flip side though, he Brighton have hit on a lot of recruits
Yeah.
as well. But yeah, sad. He sounds like a double agent. He wasn't able to succeed at United like he has at other places. Um, but today we're not here to talk about trash teams like United. Um,
Hey.
let's jump into once y'all make the Champions League, it's, um, it's okay. It's been a while for us too. But let's jump into, the usual, talk about super subs. Uh, Narf, who was your super sub of the week for just Champions League, no league games.
For just Champions League, I think I have to go with the one, the man, the myth, the legend, John Duran. Came in, got they won 3-1, but he got the absolute crazy goal to put them ahead and secured the win. Um, so we'll touch on that game as we go on, but he was my super sub.
Nice. Yeah, that was a very tight game, close competition. Um, my super sub this week was there were a couple options, but yeah, let me move away from that Villa game and go to today's game from Juve versus City. My super sub, this one, I guess is Weston McKennie getting the goal. It's pretty cool to see the American connection between him and the assister, uh, Weah,
He was also a
and
sub.
also a sub, correct. But it was actually perfect cross, but nice finish too. It wasn't like the easiest of techniques. At the professional level, you expect him to bag it, but it's a pretty tough technique that he pulled off. Um, but ultimately, yeah, they were already winning 1-0, but Juve were really pinned back, and it was a nice counter.
I didn't know he had that in his bag. The
He's scored,
acrobatics.
yeah, he's scored a couple of those types of goals before. Another one for Juve too. So, um, but it was cool to see that American connection. But let's move into some of the games. We'll talk about each one. Hopefully, we'll keep this fairly shorter episode. Um, but the few handful that we wanted to talk about from yesterday, let's start with Liverpool versus Girona. Um, this game, Salah scored a penalty, and he has now hit the 50 goal mark in Champions League. Incredible player. Um, what were some of your takeaways from this game?
Um, Takeaway is Liverpool ultimately got the dub, but I think uh big praise to Girona and respect to them for putting up that type of performance because I thought they played quite well and created some chances themselves. Uh,
Allison made a few good saves.
yeah, so Allison was back in the lineup, injury free. Um, the one player for Girona that I'm a fan of and been trying to keep a close eye on this year is
Let me guess.
uh go ahead.
Not Van de Beek. Uh, Ryan Gill.
No,
I thought you'd be a fan of him.
it's Yasser Asprilla.
Okay.
I think he was a transfer to Girona this year from the MLS, but he's a really like I was looking at some of his highlights from the MLS and he's a really tricky player. Gives me a bit of almost Mahrez vibes, but a bit more pace to him.
And the cool thing about him too is like he can play anywhere. I know he prefers like the right side, but
Mhm.
he can kind of play anywhere up top. And that'd be a cool system. Like he would fit right into like a Manchester team.
Mhm. Yeah.
And how old is he? He's like 20, something like that.
Yeah, I think 2021.
So
What were your
yeah,
thoughts on Girona?
he had a pretty good game. Asparella. I had him in my notes, but someone else that kind of stood out to me. I'm surprised you didn't mention give a shout out to Brian Gill just because thought he'd be a player that you like, and he had some influence this game. But um, I thought Dan Juma he ran wild this game, and he he has like some pretty good techers. But he just like sometimes just goes like MIA in games. But today was definitely not one of those. He had a really good opportunity where he kind of ran right past Gomez, like dirty move. Might have been Gomez and Soboslai, like some ridiculous
Oh
move.
yeah, I think he
Um,
megged. ended up Megan Gomez too.
Gomez, yeah. Um, but I mean, he has like really good skills, but he just, I don't know what it is, but he's been given opportunities, to play at high levels with like Tottenham and Everton and
Mhm.
Villarreal, but because he just hasn't taken advantage and he's just like a moment type player.
Yeah,
Um,
you need that consistency to kind of
exactly.
thrive at the highest level.
But yeah, to your point, I agree. I think Girona, um, praise to them because I thought they were definitely the much better team in the first half, created the better chances. But I think after the at halftime, I don't know what Slot said, but um, I think Liverpool
Mhm.
just looked more comfortable and settled in the second half.
Yeah, and one more player for Girona I want to shout out before we move on to kind of Liverpool side was Daley Blind. I thought he had a really good performance too. I mean, age of 34 is still kicking around top level. He actually
Mm,
had a really big chance that came to his like preferred left. I think it was came to his left foot too, but he missed it. But overall, I thought he had a really good game as well.
yeah, especially that first half, like uh, Liverpool, they honestly really didn't create too much. Um, and yeah, Blind was a big reason for that. But um, Gazaniga as well, second half, him and Allison, they both came up pretty big.
Mhm.
I think Liverpool's biggest chance, to be honest, was from a set piece where they had Gomez almost had his first goal for Liverpool, that header, but Gazaniga had a pretty nice save.
What were your thoughts on Liverpool's defending? I thought their defending wise, I thought Trent almost reverted back to his old self, a little lackluster at times, not aware of like his surroundings.
I agree. Yep. And even Van Dijk looked a little off reading the game, at least in the first half.
Mhm.
Uh, I forget exactly like what happened, but I just remember there was like a cross from the left side, and I think he just like anticipated it wrong. But I mean, he's usually a really good reader of the game, but he just like misplayed um, that moment, and I think Dan Juma like missed an easy tap in or something like that.
Mhm. Yeah.
But yeah, the defense did look
It's a little
shaky.
shaky. Yeah.
hmm
And then
But I mean, they've been 10 out of 10 for most of the season.
mhm.
So it's good to see them when they struggle that they still were able to pull out a win.
Yeah. And I say Darwin Núñez was a little disappointing. Um, he kind of went, I thought he kind of went missing. Um, he had a few good moments here and there, but from, I guess, like getting the goals, he just didn't look too much of a threat.
Agreed. Yeah.
I feel like it's still just been Gravenberch had a good game and then still just super reliant on Salah and Diaz to kind of create.
Yeah.
And the goal they ultimately
Specifically
did get, I thought it was kind of soft. Um,
the penalty.
I mean, it was a PK, but it was a little soft.
Like you think it could have been overturned?
No, I don't
No, that
like.
was a clear, obvious peak. Like he took off his shoe basically. Like he clearly stepped on his foot. It doesn't get clearer than that, I felt like.
Yeah, I guess he's just biased on because of the person who
Van de
committed it.
Beek, yeah.
Yeah.
Did he have his mouth open?
I think on his reaction he did.
Yeah. But yeah, props to Girona though. They put up a good fight. But Slot did say like he wasn't pleased with their performance. Um, so
Liverpool still remain top of the overall Champions League table.
yeah, that's true. Point out. And then where is Girona in the table?
They were actually towards the bottom, 30.
Uh, 30. Okay, that's not good out of 36. So just for listeners, just a reminder, top eight and you automatically qualify for round of 16. And then between positions 9 through 24, or positions 25 through 36, you're eliminated. Um, and then positions 9 through 24, you do a like a playoff. So like the 9 would play the 24, 10 would play 23, and the winners move on to play uh, those who have already automatically qualified for round of 16. So
And
yeah, it's getting
the
close.
playoff
Two
between the
games left.
nine, sorry, the playoff between the 9 and 24, it's a two-legged playoff, or is it just one?
I think it's one,
Okay.
but yeah, and it's also just two more games left, so it's getting pretty close.
Oh, is it only two games left? Oh, geez.
Yeah, because they've played six.
Mm-hmm. Oh, it's flying by.
Yeah. But next, let's move on to Leipzig Villa. Uh, this game was a game full of action. Villa ended up winning 3-2, thanks to a couple super subs here. Um, but Narv, what was your takeaways here?
Um, I feel bad for Ollie Watkins just because of the impact Duran makes. Even though Duran was my super sub, I didn't think Duran necessarily had the best of games. Like he gave a lot of possession away. And Leipzig, they're a team like on the counter pretty quick, especially with Openda. Um, but in terms of that finish, that was just ridiculous. Duran's kind of like I feel like one of those old school strikers, like big and strong, pacey, and like if no one steps up to close you, he can be outside like the box. He'll just shoot it from like effort range.
Hmm.
That shot we saw similar versus Bayern Munich, but this one was wild too. Um,
I do think the keeper could have done slightly better um,
he was way off his line.
on that goal. Yeah. Um, but I mean, still props to Duran just for having the audacity and awareness, I guess, to see that.
Mhm.
Um, but you know, just Galassi's caliber, I would expect him to have done better.
What were your thoughts on Villa defensively? I thought they were a little uh uncomfortable, like getting beaten so easily. Just like a
Hmm.
simple long ball just took them out so easily, I thought.
That first goal.
First and second one. First one was a bit
Y-
on Martinez. I don't know what he was doing.
Yeah. I think the second one was more defensive, like on the defensive line, but the first one, that's all Martinez. I know commentators were like, "Oh, miscommunication between I think it was Diego Costa and um, Martinez," but
Diego Costa playing center back.
wait, who was it? Oh, Diego Carlos.
I'm just messing with you.
Diego Costa. Oh, yeah, I don't know. Okay, brain fart, but I think that's all on Martinez. That yeah, the first goal, um, because the commentators were saying it's Diego Carlos, like miscommunication, but as a keeper, you're able to see the entire game kind of unfold. So he's got to be the one to kind of take charge. And once you commit, you can't back out of it, you know?
What would
So
you done in that, or what would you think Martinez should have done? You think he should just stayed on his line or fully commit?
i- if you're going to stay on your line, probably give a sh shout to the players to clear it because they essentially just stopped kind of defending when they saw him at the edge. Um, or if you're going to commit, then commit fully, you know?
Mhm.
Um, he was kind of in a I no man's land at the end of it. So you just have to be decisive there.
Mhm. Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's just Villa, they definitely tried something different, with the back three. But I think that also helped on the attack because I thought Matty Cash was a huge standout today, on the right side
I feel like I
on
haven't seen
attack.
him in a while, but he had a good
Hmm.
game.
Yeah, he looked really good on the right side. And it's rare to see him pushing up that far, but that he was decent. Uh, and then also, like to your point about Watkins, um, that assist he had to McGinn was cheeky. and I
Yeah,
think
super
super under. Yeah, because I
unselfish.
think a lot of strikers, even Duran, would have probably tried to head that to goal, but that
Mhm.
was a really cheeky pass.
Yeah, completely just opened up the goal for McGinn for a
Hmm.
tap in. Um, yeah, I thought this was an entertaining game. Openda, he's a really quality player. That assist of Bumgardner, I thought that was a really nice assist as well, and a cheeky
Mm.
finish. Um,
He low-key has a build of Adama Traore, but his skills are different.
yeah, I don't know if he has as much pace as Trier, but I mean he still got pace to him. Um, but yeah, Bumgardner, he always performs at the international stage for Austria, but like Leipzig, he still has the influence, but I feel like Austria, he's the man. But this game, I thought he had a good game as well.
Hmm. And then props to Unai for making use of his subs today, um, because they all ended up having some type of impact.
Yeah, that's true because even Barkley got on the score sheet.
Yeah, it was a little lucky, but
Mhm.
still, he took the shot.
Yeah.
Um, Slipping gave me flashbacks to this weekend, Cucurella.
Oh gosh.
But kind of off topic, did you hear about Puma? So Cucurella, he's gets paid millions to kind of advertise for Puma.
Hmm.
And so those were the new cleats that Puma released, and he was wearing them to kind of promote those cleats. And that was his first game in those cleats. And I forget what they're called. They're like the Puma 8s or something. I forget what they're called, but um in the adverts, Puma was saying, "Oh, these kind of the studs are new technology, basically helps you kind of grip the ground better." And um basically they were saying the opposite of like you slipping and stuff, like you'd have more stability, was the whole point of those cleats. And then
Oh.
Cucurella, that he debuted those cleats and then
Mhm.
ended up those two mistakes and posted a picture of them in the trash cans. So epic fail for Puma.
The cleats he changed into, uh, were they Puma still?
I'm not sure, uh, but I know that it wasn't those like Pumas, like another pair or something. So yeah,
Dang,
I'm not sure.
that's an epic fail for Puma.
Yeah, but yeah, Villa grabbed another 3 points. Uh, and so now if we look at the table, they're sitting at fifth with 13 points. So still on the edge of like the top eight. That's for like the automatic round of 16 qualification, but they're sitting pretty good spot. And then uh, Leipzig, they're sitting at 34th. Basically, they haven't collected any points yet. So they're basically eliminated if even if they, I think, win the next few games, two games. But now we can move on to, I think, what was the best game of the day, and maybe this week. Champions League was Atalanta versus Real Madrid. Real Madrid ended up winning, but honestly, from my opinion, I think Atalanta should have won.
Yeah, I think Atalanta got a bit unlucky. Kind of came down to just poor finishing. I think they had a lot of chances.
Agreed. I think a combination of poor finishing, but Courtois was also absolutely brilliant this game. Um, some saves that, yeah, he should be making, but there were a lot that uh, I think without him, Madrid would have lost this game.
Yeah, that second goal that Atalanta got definitely savable. Um, Getting beat near post, that's kind of unlike him.
I don't know about that. I thought that was a good shot.
Think so?
Yeah, and keepers always get unlucky. Not unlucky, but they get um unfairly judged about like getting scored on near post because it's not much easier. Um, Typically you'd anticipate the striker curling it to the far post. So when they fire it near post so quickly like that, it's very hard to get down.
There. I
But yeah, it
was,
came from Lookman too, and he was absolutely cooking on the left side.
yeah, Vasquez, that man's done. Lookman, he should have got that assist too, that last minute to Retegui. I don't,
Oh, Retegui, yeah, it was it what came at him pretty fast though, but
yeah, it's basically like a shot right towards him. Uh,
hmm
but I think Mbappe, I think he had a good game to be fair to him. I think he came off injured, just said, I finally put up a good performance. Let me come off before I put up a stinker. Um,
yeah, it was decent. I will say he probably should have had another. There was one attack where it was him and Vinny, and the correct it would have probably been a correct decision probably would have been a pass crossing it to Vinny, just squaring it would have been like a tap in, but he kind of went for it himself, rightfully so, just because it's Mbappe, but ultimately was saved. But I think the better decision would have been to square the ball to Vinny for a tap in, and Vinny was absolutely pissed.
yeah, it's nice to see Vinny back from injury, like instant impact. Um,
Yeah, I thought he was going to be out for a while.
that's what I thought too. Granted, his goal was a bit lucky, kind of coming off a deflection right to his
Hmm
path.
And
Um,
then Mbappe too, he really thought he was like channeling inner Ronaldo, like with the long sleeve baggy jersey, white,
mhm.
and the number 9, and then like his Kalma celebration too. I was like, who do you think you are, dude?
Yeah, he's been singing up this year.
It's like you are nowhere near his level.
The one
Relax,
player I
buddy.
thought played kind of bad for Atalanta was like out of their 11, I thought surprisingly it was Martin de Roon. I thought
Yeah.
both goals it was like he was kind of stuck in quicksand or something. Like feet was so slow. Um, got fooled by Bellingham's drop of the shoulder so easily, and then couldn't move quick enough.
hmm
'Cause he's usually pretty solid, but I thought he had a really poor game for his standards at least.
Yeah, I agree, but that Bellingham goal, man, I thought he was the best player in this game across both teams. And I think Mbappe needs to take notes from that goal that you were talking about because it was insane. Like for him to kind of drop his shoulder like that. Um, and then also later, I think he had an assist or basically almost should have had an assist to Rodrigo. I don't know if you remember where he shot it slightly wide, but that
Yes.
turn, I forget who he had that turn on.
Mhm.
Maybe Ederson, but that turn was ridiculous. But what impresses me about Bellingham too is like just the uh, selfless like attributes about him, like making runs for his teammates all over the pitch, and also like he does a really good job defensively too. He
Yeah,
gets
because
really stuck in.
he plays high up the pitch, but you see like attack wise plays high up the pitch, but when it comes to defending, he's all the way back there, tracking
Hmm
back.
Yeah, and I think he's been the one. I know Madrid's kind of struggled this year, but I think he's the one player that's been consistent for them. A lot of people I see online, like, and it kind of annoys me saying like Bellingham has dropped off this year and stuff like that, but I still think he's world
No.
class and like one of the best in the world still. Because like although his goals and assists have dropped, like he was never that type of player.
Mm-mm.
Um, like he has other ways he makes impacts and changes games, but like I guess he just last year was kind of like a little different story, but that was just kind of like a one-off season, I feel like.
And it was a style that they were kind of playing. Like they had Joselu, who's not like a out and out like clinical striker, but he's pretty good at like linking up play, holding up the ball, and letting runners kind of go off of him. So that kind of
Hmm.
let Bellingham get more goals. Whereas now it's with Mbappe's arrival, I mean, centered towards him. So obviously he's not going to get all those goals for you, but I mean, still will contribute heavily.
I kind of feel, again, we've talked about this. I kind of feel for Ancelotti because I think they looked better with someone like Joselu up top.
I think so too. Like
But
having a selfless player is I feel like always going to be unknown. Like, do you think Ancelotti even wanted Mbappe from the get-go, or you think it was purely Perez and kind of wanting to try to attempt to get the Galactico 2.0 or something?
yeah, I think it was purely Perez. I mean, it has to, right? Because from coaching aspect or like anyone that like just knows the game, you would think like, dude, like you have Vinny who does is the same exact player as Mbappe. Um, like style is the same. Like I think Vinny's at the same level as Mbappe. So it makes no sense to add another player like that. And then on the other side, you have guys like Brahim Diaz, quality. You have Rodrigo, who's quality, and then you have guys like Goulet that's kind of coming up. So like, I don't understand why a coach would want Mbappe um, when you have like other guys like that, and you're kind of Ancelotti's kind of like forced to play him, you know. But like you have to play Vinny and Mbappe, and just like doesn't work out together. I think you need like a like there's no balance on that team. It's
Not
very
at
easy
all.
to like defend.
But then, do you think some of like his like I guess when he does start Mbappe, like when he knows Mbappe's putting up a stinker, like he's still not bringing him off, and giving like that kid like Endrick a chance. I feel like he
Hmm.
hasn't really been seen at all. You think he's kind of handcuffed to keep Mbappe for the full match?
Yeah, Ancelotti probably has too, which like it's really unfortunate, but
'Cause he's a top manager, but the I feel
hmm
like he's getting unwarranted criticism. It's yeah.
because in the past he's made it work where he's managed large. I mean, Milan, they were absolutely stacked, you know, but he was able to make it work with all those big guys. But they also were special and great at like their thing, and they all kind of fit together. Whereas like Vinny and Mbappe, they're basically the same player. So
Yeah.
I feel for Ancelotti, but I will say, I think my disappointment of the season in the Serie A was Atalanta, but I have to say I've been completely wrong about them. They've been looking good in the Champions League um this year. And I mean, even this game, I felt like they were very unfortunate not to get the win. And I know you agreed, but they're sitting basically in the middle of the table here for Champions League, and then Serie A, I think they're number one now.
Hmm.
Um, so I have to put like say I was wrong about that. I do think when we were making those predictions, it was thought that like Lookman was gonna be gone. Like I was pretty sure he was leaving.
Unhappy. Yeah. I know you had
Um,
mentioned that.
that he wasn't happy and everything. But and then they also lost what's his name?
Scamacca.
Myers. Yeah, Scamacca, Myers to
Juve.
Juve.
Yeah.
So for those reasons, I was like, they're gonna struggle to get goals and stuff. But I
Shout
mean,
out to Gasparini. I feel like
yeah.
he's doing a really good job. Um, and also bringing out the best of I don't know how to say that kid's name. Charles. Uh,
Oh, De Ketelaere.
yeah, because AC Milan kind of just forced him out. And Atalanta took him right away, and he's kind of changed them.
Hmm. Yeah, and even like once they kind of get Zaniolo healthy and like eventually play. Like I think he'll probably break into this team as like a starter once
Mhm.
he's fully fit. Um, but yeah, to your point, I think he definitely deserves a lot of praise. Um, Gasparini just for the job he's done, kind of being unspoken about throughout the
Yeah,
years.
because his squad's not filled with like flashy big name players either. But he makes it work. It'll be f- it'll be interesting when Skamaka comes back too, because I know they were pretty reliant on him last season, but this year around with Retegui on fire, it'll be interesting to see how they rotate.
Yeah. And who was their left back this game? Kolasinac too. It's always
Oh,
funny
he's
to
been a
see him.
revival.
Dude, out of
Crazy.
nowhere.
Is he captain for them too?
No, I think
Oh, Darun.
Dirun
That's right.
is. But was it Kolasinac who won the penalty too?
Yeah,
That
he was
got
the one
tripped
that
up
drew. Yeah. He has so much like power to him still, like when he drives with the ball. Um, but crazy part about Skamaka is apparently he's set to return pretty soon from an ACL injury.
already.
Yeah.
That's impressive.
I think it's only like 4 or 5 months he was out. He'll be out.
Mm.
So yeah, quick recovery.
Yeah, but Gasparini, dude, shout out to him. Especially for like being able to I think when he took over Atalanta uh like 8 years ago, I think they were about to get relegated, but he kept them up and then like I feel like they're always consistently kind of like in the top 4 or 5 battle.
Hmm.
Um and then even Genoa, when they were in the lower tier, he was the one that kind of made them who they are now, and
Yep.
they're like a consistent Serie A competitor.
Hmm. You want to move on to today's games, or were there any other games, or score lines that you wanted to touch on from yesterday's matches?
Uh, Not really. I will say it's interesting, Real Madrid are sitting kind of at the cusp of that playoff cutoff. They're at 20th with 9 points. Um, and just a reminder, um, teams that are kind of right behind them outside the playoff spot are PSG with 7 points, Stuttgart with seven, uh, and Shakhtar with four, and Prague with four. So there's some teams there where if they get a couple wins, Real Madrid could, and if Madrid lose, potential for them not to make it to round of 16.
Yeah, they're living on the edge right there.
Hmm.
Um, just other quick score lines I just wanted to touch on. One I didn't really get to watch much was Leverkusen Inter. Leverkusen surprisingly beat Inter. Um, and then Sporting, that's now back-to-back Champions League losses since departure of Amarin.
Hmm.
Um,
And in the
and
league, they've been struggling.
yeah, it looks like it. But the one team I want to keep a close eye on going forward is because I didn't even realize how high in the table they are is Brest. They're sitting seventh.
Oh, wow. We like those. Express, so they beat PSV. I know they got smacked by Barca. Who else have they beat? Oh, that's right. They tied Leverkusen. They beat
Yeah.
Salzburg. Yeah, Leverkusen too. I didn't catch that game either, but I know they scored pretty late in typical Leverkusen style.
Crazy part about that game was apparently um there's a stat that I was hearing Inter since their Champions League match where they lost to City in the final back in 23. They've only lost coming into this game, they had only lost 5 games in all comps.
5? Wow.
So this would
That's
be their
impressive.
sixth. Hmm.
All right. So if we want to move on to games from today, where to start? Maybe let's start with kind of the more boring, not boring, but one of the one-sided games, Arsenal Monaco. Arsenal ended up winning 3-0. Surprisingly, all three goals came from open play. Uh,
Yeah, that is true.
that,
Oh, we were just giving them crap past couple podcasts.
but I will say, I think Monaco gave away that second one pretty easily. And then the third one, they were kind of just deflated. So, but I will say the player that really stood out to me this game was Lewis Skelly in left back. Um, we've talked about on this pod Ethan Nwaneri just being he should be given more opportunities and stuff, but Lewis Skelly, man, we've seen a few glimpses of him. I guess he's not talked about as much. But man, he looked solid today. Even that pass to Jesus in the first goal, Jesus ultimately got the assist, but Lewis Skelly was the one that kind of broke open uh, Monaco's defense. But man, Arsenal, they have some really good young talent. And I mean, yeah, Lewis Skelly, he's uh 18, and then you have Ethan Nwaneri, who's 17. So some young talent there, but then you also have Saka, who's still just 23. So
Yeah, even looking at their bench, they have a lot of youngsters. That Heaven guy, I just saw glimpses of him in preseason 18. He was on the bench. They have a 19-year-old on there, right back. Um, they have a lot of youngsters. Jeez.
but it was interesting to see Arteta really giving Lewis Skelly his trust, especially with Timber on the bench still. And well, I don't really know what he's doing with Tierney. I feel like Tierney's always making the team sheet, but like
He's there for
it's
vibes.
I think so. I feel like it's understood that he's never gonna see the field. So, but I was surprised to see Lewis Skelly, especially like in a very important game. Uh, but yeah, he got the chance. And
I
he
will
took it.
say the player for Monaco, I don't know his name, but he was a fill-in center back who he had a really poor game. I think you mentioned it for the second goal. It was like a poor giveaway where or it might have been yeah, the second
Oh,
goal.
Solisu.
Yeah, that player he had
Hmm.
a really poor game. And he was kind of a filler for their usual player Sinyo. Um I don't know where Sinyo was. I think he was missing through I think like a two yellows in a row. So he like missed this match, I think was the reason.
Mm.
They didn't have like their usual starting center back there.
Yeah, it's kind of disappointed. I wanted to see. I was really excited to see Balogun versus the old team. See if uh he would be able to make a difference. I
Uh
know. I know he's gonna come back here soon, but uh he's looked pretty good for Monaco. Uh, in his six starts, he has three goals. Um, and then also, I was a fan of him when he was at Chelsea for a short stint, but Zakaria as well. He's a pretty important player for Monaco, so he was a big loss
hmm.
in
Where
this
is
game.
he on Monaco still?
Yeah, he has a hamstring injury, so I don't know how long he's out, but
Okay. Yeah, that is a big loss.
especially that midfield of Arsenal today, I thought they Odegaard absolutely dominated that
He missed the
midfield.
easy chance.
He, yeah, he did look poor in front of goal though.
Fair enough though. That was just a really poor giveaway. Like would have been a really soft goal to give away if he put it away
Hmm.
though.
Yeah, and then another point I had kind of written was uh coming out of half though, Monaco, I thought they looked really strong. and there were a couple chances that they had. They had a header from a set piece, and then Mbo yeah, Mbolo, he had a pretty good sh chance that he kind of hit wide. But man, if they capitalized on those chances, it could have been a completely different script.
Yeah, I think so. Even when the way the game started, like straight from kickoff, when Monaco were on the attack, I was like, oh, it's
Hmm.
wild.
But yeah, I think once the second goal happened, they were kind of just deflated.
Yeah, especially in the manner that they conceded that second goal. So sloppy. What's the next match you want to move on to? I feel like we got to
Let's
save the Barca game for last.
Yeah, let's do that. So let's go to Juve versus City next. Juve ended up winning 2-0. Um, and I think the first half was a little quieter from both teams. Uh, I think the first like 15, 20 minutes, there was a lot of pressure down the left hand side with Yildiz. Um,
He
and
said, Grandpa Walker, know your
yeah,
place.
again, Kyle Walker, man. But yeah, I think Ederson had a really good save in that first half on Yildiz. But uh, yeah, Haaland, he missed kind of. I mean, yeah, it was 1-on-1, but like for him in my that's a sitter for Haaland standards. But
I
De
feel like the
Gregorio,
I feel like the informed, just Holland we know, confident Holland we know would like smash it.
hmm he tried to just he didn't look confident yet. To your point, I mean, it was a good save, but still. Uh, and that was when it was tied 0-0, right?
Yeah.
So that could have really changed the game. But uh, yeah, Yildiz had an assist to Vlahovic, who just bodied uh Bordeaux for the opener. And then I think City were just kind of pushing for an equalizer, and then they just got caught on the counter.
hmm Yeah, nothing to take away from that finish though. That was still an impressive finish by McKennie. Um, yeah, Vlahovic, he had a good game. I thought he was pretty dominant. His hold up play, linking up with Yildiz.
Hmm.
I thought it could have been long days for Yildiz just because he's so young still against like a veteran Walker. But yeah, Walker, I don't know what's up with him. He's his downfall's been kind of sad, but also like qu pretty quick
Yeah,
as
it kind of
well.
felt like out of nowhere.
Yeah, because I mean, even in the Euros, he was decent, but like,
Hmm.
I swear, it's like right when the Premier League started this year, he's just been on the downfall. I don't know if it was because of like rumors of City wanting him to transfer him to Bayern Munich, if like that hurt his confidence or something. I don't know. Um,
And then City, like they just didn't look great today. Like creating chances, didn't seem to really create much. I do think in the first half they looked a little better, especially Doku.
mhm.
He looked really dangerous, but again, just no end product with that team.
Yeah, and I was surprised that Foden wasn't even brought on during the game to. I know he's been having a bit of a shocker, but he wasn't even brought on for like a Rico Lewis or Bernardo Silva to kind of change things up. Um, I know he's been really, really poor this year, but I mean, he's still a threat you got on your
Hmm.
bench. Um, it was nice to see Kovacic back on the bench. Well, not for us if he plays this weekend, but I mean, nice for City have that weapon. 'Cause I think he was a big miss for
Hmm.
sure.
Do you think how do you like Grealish in the middle versus just kind of like out wide?
I honestly like him more in the middle because I feel like I liked him at Villa, but then ever since his move at City, I wasn't really a fan of his game kind of became like way too predictable, I thought. Especially playing out there wide, but I kind of like him playing more in that number 10,
Hmm.
the middle. I think Doku has to start going forward though. Like,
He's always looked dangerous.
yeah, and
Yeah, I like Grealish in the middle as well. Sorry to cut you off, but like he just looks like he has more freedom to be creative. Whereas like in Pep's side, like sometimes the wingers they're just too like he limits them a little too much.
yeah, I think so too. What are your thoughts on I want to get your thoughts on Savio. What do you think about him? I feel like I feel like he's like exciting at times, but like he just hasn't delivered like what City's been looking for.
Savinho?
Yeah, or Savio, or what's his real name? Is it
Is it
Savinho?
Savinho? Yeah.
I don't know why
Um,
his jersey says Savio.
Today, I don't know. Maybe it was like a typo in his jersey. Um, dude, I don't know. He has you can clearly see he's got the technical abilities, but that dude just takes like a couple two. He kind of reminds me of Madueke at times. Um, where he just I think with better coaching, he's gonna be a really good player.
Because I
Uh,
want to like him because he like at Girona he was had really a lot of goals and assists, but like and he gives you that Mahrez vibes, which is super exciting. But
mhm.
I don't know, he's been struggling a little bit
Yeah, he just reminds me of Madueke in terms of they don't know when the right time is to take on players or pass versus um and then they just also both of them seem to be trying to do too much. I don't know why. Just like stick to the basics, but he's always taking a couple extra touches and just poor decision making, but it, it is a common theme with Pep. Like players don't typically thrive the first season, so we'll see. Maybe just give him some more time. Because you, like you said, Mara's vibes completely see that.
Hmm. unless Pep gets the sacking. Nah, I'm kidding. That'll never happen.
Nah,
Even if they get relegated, he won't get sacked.
but I mean, City now they're sitting in the Champions League table, uh, right under Madrid with only 8 points. So they're tied for 22nd with two other teams.
Let's see
So
who
they're
they
pretty
have
close.
left.
They have PSG left. I know that it's a big one, and
Ooh.
PSG they're on the edge as well.
Mm-hmm. Oh
And
wow.
then their other game is against Club Brugge at the Etihad, so they should win that one.
Okay.
Um,
Well, that's gonna be a tight finish.
but
Jeez.
I mean, Club Brugge is going to be fighting for something too, since they're kind of just a few spots ahead of City right now with 10 points.
Jeez. Yeah, that's gonna be a really tough battle. And then I guess last game of the day, you want to move on to Dortmund Barca
Let's do it. So, if you had to choose one player from this game that was your man of the match, who would it be?
from this game.
And I feel like there's only one right answer for this.
I say Lamine Yamal.
Yeah,
He
I
is
completely
destroying.
agree. He that I forget when, like the times, but that Travella to who was it?
Oh, Rafinha.
Dude, wish Rafina finished that because that would have been on like highlight reels, but
That
that
would have
was
been disgusting.
ridiculous. The thing that impresses me, dude, is you don't think he's 17 the way he plays with like the composure, he always seems to make the right decisions, like when to take players on, when to pass it, and then just like the technical abilities. It's just he's a special talent. It's insane. I just get like chills watching him and then thinking he's 17 only.
And he like just recently turned 17. He was still 16 at the Euros, and then I think it was the final
Yeah,
he
that's
turned
insane.
17. So yeah,
Like,
he's like his ceiling is gonna be crazy. Because we talk about like I think he might be one of the best wingers in the world, and we're talking like that at him only being 17. So like he hasn't even really hit his heights yet. Um, so that's just gonna be super scary to see.
dude, his ceiling is limitless. 'Cause I mean, Messi being one of the GOATs right now, like Lamine Yamal looks like he could be on the same path or even higher.
Yeah, yeah, it's wild. But I will say another youngster on the field that impressed me, but on Dortmund's side was Gittins.
Gittins,
I
I
like him
love
as
that player, dude. I'm a huge fan of him.
yeah, he's
Even
only
like
20
today, he
also.
looked good. Yeah, and then against Real Madrid too, he was cooking.
Hmm. What were your what were your thoughts on the overall game? You think it
Yeah,
was a deserving win?
I
I thought
think,
Dortmund put up a good fight. I don't know about you.
yeah, I agree. I do think Dortmund got unlucky at times. Like their finishing, they had a lot of good chances, but it also probably comes down to Barca. Um, like their attack, of course, is super dangerous and super scary, but uh, that defense, the mistakes they were gifting Dortmund goals. Like Dortmund should have capitalized, but they were just causing their own mistakes, and then they at times were playing such a high, like dangerous line.
I feel like we've seen that all year with Barca, kind of trying to play that offside trap at times.
Hmm.
But like when you play that type of high line, it you gotta like time it to perfection. So it's high risk.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like this Barca defense is gonna be like what's gonna hold them back.
Yeah, I think so. Like attack wise, they're exciting. Like even with Alejandro Balde and or not Alex Balde.
Hmm.
Um, he's good going forward, but defensively can be shaky. Same with Kunde, kind of has his moments.
Koundé's
Shock.
improved a lot going forward, which is some of his crosses today. I was really impressed.
He still has his moments defensively though, where like he like loses focusers times.
Hmm.
Yeah, so that just mixed in with trying to play that high line I feel like can cost him at times.
Yeah, and I mean the youngster at center back too, Cabarsi, he's good, but like at times he just makes his reading the game. But I mean he is 17, but he, he is like at risk at times.
Hmm. Crazy part is that Araujo, like I don't know, 'cause that Martinez dude's looking pretty good too. And building a good partnership with the youngster. So, but I feel like Ronaldo Araujo is like he's up there for like being one of the best in the world. So
Oh, I feel like he's gonna be a guaranteed starter when he's fully fit, no?
I think so too. But it's hard to because those two have formed a pretty good partnership. Like, do you like
Hmm.
just go ahead and keep that partnership or throw a Rojo in for who would you take out for a Rojo?
Uh, I don't know. I'd probably take out Martinez
Hmm.
just to go give it. I think that would be good for Cabarsi to have someone elite like Araujo playing.
Yeah.
So
Because I feel like you can't stop his development either. Because
yeah,
Martinez is
exactly.
kind of up there in age.
And I think it will be good like with Araujo hurt, like they've been kind of thin ice with defenders, but they'll get him back and then they should be getting Christensen back too. So
Hmm. The uh, the one player who I'm a little worried for, but kind of happy also about it because then it means we got a chance at him possibly for real this time would be De Jong. Because I think that Casado kid, he's filled in really nicely for Barca. Kind of out of nowhere with De Jong being injured.
Yeah, that was kind of a surprise because I feel like De Jong's now kind of fully fit.
And he's still coming off the bench.
Yeah. And I always thought like De Jong and Pedri were kind of undroppable for this Barca team. So I'm kind of surprised. Maybe Flick is trying to work him in slowly, prevent further injury.
Were there any other players that impressed you on either side?
Yeah, I think Danny Olmo was pretty good uh, in the middle. Uh, and Rafinha again, man, he's been solid for Barca ever since coming from Leeds, and he's definitely like the versatility in him. He was a pure winger in the Premier League, but now he's able to kind of play in the wing, but he's also able to come in the middle. It's really impressive.
It's crazy because I feel like Hansi Flick has a lot of faith in him, especially giving him the captaincy as
Hmm.
well. Like a lot relies on his on Rafinha.
I like Hansi Flick's like system. I think it fits them well because like the players don't have to like stick to a particular position. It seems like they can just kind of run wherever they see fit, and like I think that works perfect with guys like Rafinha and Olmo.
I'm surprised that he didn't work out in Germany though, because I feel like Germany he had a lot of weapons as well. I don't know if like I think I don't know if Wirtz was on that squad yet. I know he still had Musiala.
Hmm.
Um, but I feel like the current German team, like he would have thrived under.
Yeah, I'm surprised it didn't either. But I mean, Barca, they're like the top scoring team in all of Europe, and I think it comes down to like his system.
hmm I are you a fan of Guirassy, the striker for Dortmund? What are your thoughts on
Uh,
him?
I don't know. I don't think there's much like more because he is getting there in, which is crazy to say, but like what, he's 29, almost 30, 28 maybe, but
28. Oh wow. I thought he was like 20. I thought he was like 24, 25.
yeah,
Dang,
this
he's a
is
late
definitely like his,
bloomer.
yeah, this is definitely his prime, and like he's definitely been um like coming onto the scene. I think starting last year was really when he had his like breakout.
Stuttgart.
Yeah. So I think like he needs to make the big move now.
Oh, never mind. I thought he was still kind of young for some reason. I thought he was 24. Jeez, he is
No.
pushing it in age. Wow.
Yeah, so I feel like he needs to make the big move now if he wants, like try to see if he can do something like in the Premier League or something. Dortmund's always kind of like the stepping stone to go somewhere bigger.
Mhm.
So, because I mean, at Stuttgart he was freaking insane.
Yeah. It was kind of sad to see how the game did end up finishing. Like that third goal Barca got to basically win off Pascal Gross's mistake.
Yeah,
I was like, that's such a crappy way to end the game.
because Gross had that nice assist too and like run
hmm
for I think like the second goal, but
And then he almost got the assist off the free kick, like last kick of the game
oh,
to
at the very end,
Schlotterbeck.
yeah. But I that was a very entertaining game. Both teams were very open.
hmm
Um,
It was a
I,
little shocking of defending from both ends, but attack wise, yeah, it's for a neutral, really entertaining.
hmm. But now Barca, they're basically guaranteed for round of 16. They're sitting at second, and then Dortmund they're at ninth, so right on the edge. of top eight, so they still have to do kind of like the playoff round.
Okay. But more likely than not, they're safe from that first elimination state.
Automatic.
Yeah,
Yeah,
automatic elimination. Okay.
exactly. Um, were there any other points you wanted to make on Champions League before we just talk about some games to watch this weekend?
Um, no, that's all I had. Another impressive win was just Leo. Uh,
Oh, they've been eating this year, man.
yeah, I don't know who they beat today, that team, but yeah, just the form they're in Champions League wise, they've been feasting.
I mean, if you want to talk about strikers, uh, I feel like we have to talk about uh, David for
I,
Leo.
I feel like he's always linked for a big money
He,
move.
yeah, I feel like he's always in the transfer rumors. But do you think Jonathan David is like, because he's still what, 24, and this is like his
Mhm.
best season so far, like start to the season. Um, do you think this is just like another like run he's having, or do you think he?
It's so hard to tell because like when I watch him, my eyes are telling me that he's good, but I don't know if there's a reason he's just hasn't got that big move yet.
Agreed, because he's been putting up. This is definitely his best start, but he's been putting up numbers for a couple seasons now.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, I don't know how to feel like my eyes tell me he's good, but I don't know if there has to be a reason he just hasn't got that move.
hmm But maybe this Champions League campaign will help him kind of boost to some legit moves.
Mhm.
But let's move on to some games to watch this weekend. Um, on Saturday, I'll cover the Premier League, and if you want to cover any other games across Europe.
Mhm.
But Saturday we have a couple big ones. Arsenal, Everton. Everton have had a couple of weeks of rest. Do you think they can potentially frustrate Arsenal?
Um, no. At the Emirates, Arsenal just coming off a big Champions League win. Nah.
All
You?
right, this is my take for this weekend. I think I said City's Palace last week, but I think this one, Arsenal are going to be frustrated by Everton. I think Everton are going to be well rested. Um, they've had time to prepare for Arsenal. I think they're going to go classic Sean Dyche style and stay compact. And I think Arsenal's going to have a really tough time breaking them down. This might
I
be a hot take, but we'll see.
I will say Arsenal might have a tougher time on set pieces, scoring off of set pieces because
That's for sure.
Everton have big bodies.
They're a large team. And then we also have uh relegation battle Wolves Ipswich. They'll be playing um
Oh God,
that morning.
Gary. I like Ipswich and I want Ipswich to win, but if Ipswich win versus Wolves, um, because Wolves are home that game, it might be GG for Gary.
Yeah. And you were not wrong. The El Sacico did not disappoint between West Ham and
I
Wolves.
swear, whenever Lopetegui's job's on the line, it's like the team are like, all right, we got this. Put a crazy performance in.
Yeah. And then on Sunday in the Premier League, I think the biggest one for sure we have to touch on is
Chelsea,
Manchester.
Brentford, huge.
The Manchester Derby at the Etihad. How are you feeling?
Honestly, this is one of the fewer derbies where I feel confident. I'm not
I
gonna
think you
lie.
should be, yeah.
Um, I think Pep, he if Pep loses, he's gonna lose a lot of sleep, losing 2 games already under Amarin. Because he got humbled in the Champions League by Amarin Sporting, losing again to him. Like Pep's Pep's about to go crazy.
Hmm. Yeah, I think y'all definitely have a chance um, this weekend. I'm just really intrigued to see what your back line's gonna be. Um,
Because I don't want to jinx it, but our Europa League game tomorrow should be an easy win. So I think
mhm.
we'll rotate quite a bit. And to your point of the Arsenal Everton game, like if we rotate quite a bit, I think we could have a lot of players well rested coming up for that fixture as well. So
Yeah, I think it will be a low scoring game, but whoever can grab a goal is gonna end up winning. I think it's gonna be really low scoring.
it might be one of the lower, I think I mentioned it last episode, but it might be one of the lower quality Manchester derbies, unfortunately.
I think it might be a little like make sure not to eat heavy, listeners, because it might put you to sleep, I think. But um, I think like you guys definitely have a chance.
Mhm.
And then to your point, yep, Brentford Chelsea on the opposite side of the spectrum. I think this one will be a very exciting game for neutral to watch.
Jeez, that's a late window. Two
Yeah.
o'clock?
Enzo Maresca said this is just another game for us, but a big game for Brentford. So he sounds pretty confident. But I don't think Brentford's a team to sleep on. So I'm excited to see how we do at home. We've been struggling at home for some reason compared to our away form, slightly, but I'm hoping that we can continue our momentum.
But to that point, Brentford, they've been struggling away mad hard.
Exactly. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's true. Um, but we've been joking, but it might be legit that we are title contenders this year.
4 points off? Yeah, that's.
So I think those are the main games I wanted to touch on for Premier
Oh, I
League.
think I think the only Premier League game you missed was Saturday's Forest versus Villa.
I'm asleep on that game.
You asleep on that game?
Yeah.
Oh wow.
I I think it is important, I guess, for like the top four battle, but um I have a feeling Villa are about to go on a little run here.
Oh wow. It's crazy to say like in now's day and age like Forest and Villa tough. It'll be a good matchup for a top four.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then around the league, I think um McDonald's League, we got my boys up in Marseille against Lille. That'll be a big one for us. Sorry, with the United downfall, I need a little bit of joy, so I just picked Marseille, run with. And then La Liga, we got I think a sleeper of a matchup, but Rayo Vallecano at home against Real Madrid. I think that would be a pretty good battle. Um, I don't know exactly what injury Mbappe picked up. Um, so TBD on if he plays, but it was nice to see Rodrigo back in action. Um, yeah, those were the only 2 games around the league really. And then Sunday we got uh Villarreal versus Real Betis. Um, and in La Liga we got Bologna versus Fiorentina. Fiorentina, they've kind of been on the come up this year.
Shout out to Gea.
Shout out De Gea. And Bologna, um, I thought they would be like quite bad this year just because losing out on Thiago Motta and losing a few of their players like Calafiori and Xerxes, but they're still sitting in 8th place. and they tied Juventus against their old manager last week. So I think that'll be an interesting matchup to watch. And then again, McDonald's League, we got PSG versus Lyon. Um, that'll be a spicy matchup. So those are all the other games around the league.
How's your boy Greenwood doing up there?
He is feasting. Um, Greenwood is feasting. He has 10 goals, one assist. Another player who's kind of fit in well, is I thought he would have made me dislike Marseille, but for some reason, I'm enjoying his trolling a bit more. Is Neil Mope? He got 4 assists, 2 goals so far this year. Um, and Rabiot, he's making that team click low key. He's a really good signing for Marseille. So, do you want to go over the tables real quick, just for the Premier League, um, just so listeners have an idea?
Yeah, we can do that. Um, so sitting on top of the table in Premier League is Liverpool with 35 points, and they're one game behind, just because of weather reasons. Last week was canceled. And then 4 points behind with 31, we have Chelsea. Chelsea has scored the most goals with 35. The next closest is Brentford with 31. So, a fun matchup this weekend. Arsenal at third with 29 points. Man City fourth with 27 points. And then we have Nottingham at fifth with 25 points. Villa as well with 25. And then I'll just read off the middle here. We have Brighton and then Bournemouth at eight, Brentford at nine, Fulham at 10. And then sitting at 11, you have a really surprising one for me is Tottenham sitting that low with 20
Oh
points.
wow.
Um, Tottenham, man, they've scored 31 goals as well, so same as Brentford, and they've only conceded 19. Um, so their goal differential is 12, and they're sitting at the 11th spot, so not great. They just haven't been able to close games out, see games out. Uh, and then 12, you have Newcastle with 20 as well. And then 13, you have United.
Hey,
Uh,
+1 goal
you
differential.
guys have
Let's
a positive
go.
goal differential finally. And then right behind y'all are West Ham, and then Everton, Leicester City, Palace. Palace has 13. And then your relegation battle is Ipswich is right behind them in 18th place with 9 points, so 4 points behind. And then Wolves with 9 points as well. And then Southampton with five. I think Southampton are gonzo for
Yeah.
sure.
Jeez. Yeah, so that's a big relegation battle match we got Saturday, Ipswich Wolves. But with that, thank you all for listening to our Champions League roundup. Um, Next week, I'm sure we'll touch on the Premier League games we just mentioned. Um, but thank you for tuning in to another episode. And until then, peace out.